Latino public hearing for the City of Tampa's Barrio Latino Commission. Welcome everyone. I'm Rich Simmons, Chair of the Commission. If you are here to present the project, you have limited time to make your presentation, so we suggest being thorough but concise. When coming to the microphone, you will need to identify yourself and your relationship to the project. The commissioners will not ask any questions during your presentation. Your project should be presented in the following order: site plan, elevations, architectural details, wall sections. Staff presents staff report. We will then ask for public comment. Please state and spell your name clearly if you're here to speak for or against the project. Your time will be limited to 3 minutes, so take some time now to summarize your comments because 3 minutes goes by very quickly. Following public comment, the commissioners will be asking questions in the same order as the presentation. Next, the applicant will have 5 minutes for rebuttal. The public hearing will then be closed. After the public hearing is closed, no further testimony can be given. The commissioners will then discuss the case and make their decisions based upon Chapter 27 of the City Code of Ordinances, the design guidelines, the Secretary of Interior standards, Historic Preservation Development Review Committee comments, and the testimony given today at the public hearing. The BLC can only act on items that are within our specific jurisdictional responsibility. Owner agents are independently responsible to obtain any appropriate permits and/or approvals. If you haven't already done so, please silence your cell phones. We'll start with the introduction of the commissioners on my left, please.
Good morning, Leaving Win.
Good morning, Richard Cahill.
Morning, Liz Welch.
Good morning, Susan Claus-Smith.
Okay, and from city staff, we have Ron Vila, Alexis Guzman, and from legal, Dana Crosby-Collier. Okay, we have the minutes from last month's meeting in our packet. Has everyone had a chance to review?
Yes. I make a motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
I second the motion.
Any discussion on the motion? All in favor of said motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Vila, some announcements,
Good morning,
please.
Commissioners. Ron Vila, I'm staff with Historic Preservation. Under announcements, I'll let you know that we have the newsletter. It's called Bricks and Mortar. We put that in your packet, and this is current events in the local historic district that we try to keep everybody updated. This publication that people follow throughout the city. So we're very proud of that document. Then also we have the staff approvals that are in your packet, and we could receive and file those at the end of the hearing. We also have preservation in progress. This is a brief segment that we like to share with all our preservation boards, and at this time I'm going to move forward with that. This month we're featuring the Sulphur Springs Water Tower that's on Florida Avenue. In 2023, we took an aerial, and just to show the location of it, if somebody's not familiar with it, it flanks Bird Street. It's to the south of Bird Street. It's to the east of Florida Avenue, and it's to the west of the interstate. In 1931, you see the tower here. You see no other development around it. You see the Hillsborough River, and then Florida Avenue would be to the west. The tower is here. Just a little bit of background. Looking at the iconic tower, it's very distinguishable. It was built in 1927 by Josiah Richardson. He was a developer that wanted to create a destination point for Tampa for people to come here and vacation. The tower is 214 foot tall, and it's 45 foot deep that goes into the ground. It's a Gothic style, and if you dissect the building itself, you'll see the lanced windows, the crenellation around the parapet, and then if you get closer to it at the lower level, the buttress. It was designated as a local landmark in 1989, and this was the inspiration of when Mr. Richardson had his vision coming forward. The Sulphur Springs, it was a park, as I stated, it was a destination for the tourists and locals to go. It was accessible by the streetcar, came all the way there, so this is kind of far out from people within the city. And then it included a swimming pool, an alligator farm. The pavilion is still there. It's just to the east of the tower and the gazebo. We recently did a renovation to the structure. Just sensitivity cleaned it per the Secretary of Interior standards. then painted, caulking it, and just minor repairs to it. And if you get a chance to go by or look at it from a distance, you'll see that, it's changed its appearance. And moving forward, we'll use the application standards from the Secretary of Interior for the rehabilitation. It was a successful project, and it's still a park. It's open. You could come off of Bird Street, go there. You could access the river is right there as well. And then I talked about the gazebo as this kind of partner companion building that's there that you could walk through a trail and you could go that way as well. So that's preservation in progress for this month. Now moving to legal, she'll address the board.
Yes, good morning. Dana Crosby Collier from the City Attorney's Office. Regarding the conflict of interest, does any member have a conflict of interest with any item on the agenda this morning?
I do not.
Thank you. Has any member had an ex parte communication regarding any item on the agenda this morning?
I've had none.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dana. And moving down the agenda, there are no continuations reflected on this morning's agenda, and we're ready for the swear-in. Ms. Guzman will swear everybody in that wishes to testify. Please stand up and raise your right hand.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you'll be providing today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
The first agenda item is BLC-24-0000-101. This is for the address of 1901 East 7th Avenue. There is a contributing structure at that site. It dates back to 1905. The underlying zoning is YC1. The existing square footage is about 11,000 square foot, and they're looking to add 8,000 square feet. The request this morning is for a certificate of appropriateness for new construction and in addition to a contributing structure with site improvements. Briefly going through the photo presentation. Property in question is highlighted in the green box. It is a corner parcel that's on our commercial corridor, 7th Avenue. Does have an alley that runs east and west behind the structure. Does have a balcony around the front and a little bit to the side, to the west. You see the concentration here of the commercial structures. This is from 1929. The red indicates brick construction. Yellow is frame construction. You see some smaller buildings here that were stores that anchored in that corridor back in 1929. This is our vicinity map, just showing where it is. You could just look at this. You can't see the streets or anything, but you see the concentration right here of the contributing commercial buildings, and this is 7th Avenue. So the building in question is here. Once again, to get perspective and the density that's here today, this is a current aerial. This is the structure in question. That's a corner element. And then you see the rhythm on both sides, on the south and the north side of 7th Avenue, and the concentration as it is today. Moving to the building itself. This is looking from the corner of 19th Street and 7th Avenue. It's got this clip corner as you come in. This is the 7th Avenue elevation. This is the 19th Street elevation. This is the balcony that exists today. You see some of the support columns that are there. This is just looking from 7th Avenue, kind of a little closer shot. You see the transition from the street to like a recovery zone with a different color of paving, and then the hex pavers that are here, and they're going to discuss a little bit of the hex pavers incorporating into the project and wrapping around. You have the lower level storefront, and then the balcony up top that has a visor, and then a parapet behind that. This is looking at the 19th Street elevation. This has just a solid sidewalk, not any hex pavers here, and they're going to introduce the incorporation of the hex pavers to continue to give you the experience that you're in Ybor City. Then once again, the support columns, the balcony, the visor, and then the parapet. This is looking from 19th Street, back at that west elevation, and in the rear. You see how this building is kind of clipped short of the property line. Most of the buildings on Seventh Avenue, they're zero lot line. They go from the front to the back, to the side to the side. This one was always a little short. This is where they're gonna try to capture some of the additional square footage. Continuing from 19th Street, looking at the alley. This is the building. This is the back that has a void. Kind of focusing on the alley, the area in question here to receive an addition. Behind the alley, we have surface parking. And just to focus back at the building itself, this is the 7th Avenue elevation. There is going to be a rooftop request this morning as well. So you see how it staggers from the balcony to that visor and then the parapet. This is the abutting building on 7th Avenue. This is the property in question, and just kind of in a different perspective of kind of what you see there. And to conclude, a couple of street shots. This is looking down 7th Avenue, building in question. This is the north street face of the structures. And then just turning around, looking down 7th Avenue, and you see how the buildings frame 7th Avenue and the 2- and 3-story buildings, 1-, 2-, and 3-story buildings on 7th Avenue. That concludes the photo presentation, and we'll have the agent come forward.
Hello, my name is Andrew Matson. I've been sworn in, and I am the architect of, will be the architect of record for the project. I'm a partner of AI Collaborative, which is the building right next door to the building. Okay. So. Okay, full screen. And is that okay? So we're looking at redesigning or at making a building addition to 1901 East 7th Avenue. That actually used to be my old office building, so I have a personal connection to that building. I worked in there for 12 years. As Ron said, it's right on 7th Avenue, right across from Acropolis, right next to our office on 7th Avenue. The addition is going to be, like Ron said, in the back of the building. There's the property, you know, on 7th and 19th. You guys have all seen the views that Ron has done. The corner, the addition, which will be in the back. So the back of the building, I would like to note that on our renovation, the back of the building is actually not brick right now. It's stucco brick, so it's there. It was in disrepair a long time ago, and they had put in stucco brick to make it. So when we're renovating it, the renovation, we're going to keep all the facades minus the back of the building. So we'll have 19th, 7th Avenue, and even the abutting to our old property, that wall. We're going to remove the back wall, and we're going to remove the actual floor structure of the building to reinforce it, because it is a wood structure and it is kind of got damaged, termites. So we're going to renovate the whole interior too. As Ron said, we're planning to add the hex patterns along 19th Avenue. Currently, they stop right at 19th, but we're going to wrap the corner on our building. This is just showing the alcoves. We're maintaining all the alcoves of the existing building, the tile pattern, and such. The stone, part of this too is going to have ADA renovations, because it will be, has to currently meet current ADA. So some of these pieces will have to be brought up, but the main entrance will be ADA accessible. This is not going to be the accessible entrance, showing the existing. So this is the view showing the original historic brick to the stucco brick that wraps the corner. Some of them, there's existing materials of the building. Here, this is part of our design, the horizontal banding, as Ron had stated, the balcony, the banding of the building, the front facade across the street, and its banding. When we do our connection from our new building to our old building, which is on the 7th, we're gonna do a glass hyphen, very similar to what we had done on the German American Club. So here's the existing building, showing the existing structure and our proposed addition, right? And part of what we're doing to differentiate between the new and the historic or the contributing structure is we're actually not gonna be right on the property line. We're pulling it back off of 19th by about 3 feet. And then also in the back of the building, we're gonna have some service doors and such, so we'll pull it off into the property line back there. So we're about 2 feet off the back of the property line. In the existing structure, again, we're gonna demo. So when it was a retail store, there was 3 different bays. Each bay is at different levels and different heights. We're gonna clean it up. Plus, part of the structure, when we demo the building, we have to put new supports, new columns in. So we're gonna have to remove the floor slab. I have my structural engineer here, Laura Minton, if you have any questions about the demolition, because we're gonna be very sensitive to the demolition of the project, so that we do not have any type of collapsed structure. We're gonna do micro piles inside the facility. Then we're gonna, as we remove the structure, we'll shore it up. The steel frame will then be put in, and we'll stabilize the building as we do the demolition. The second floor was office space. Demo the roof, again, demoing it, because we're gonna put a rooftop terrace on it. So this is the proposed massing that we've done from 7th Avenue. So you can see we've stepped the building, the addition, far enough back where we do have what you're seeing here is actually a steel frame with canopies, because it is going to be an outdoor space for people. So they wanted to have shades, so we're going to have some operable louvers and shade structure. This will be minimized, so we've pushed it back, and we've worked with staff tremendously on minimizing our impact to the existing building. So this, again, looking across the street, the proposed massing, you can see the little structure, the frame structure, our proposed hyphen, our proposed addition, and we're trying to minimize the impact from the street side. Again, this is looking from Acropolis. You can see our proposed addition, the hyphen, where it's that glass connection between the old and the new. The building, the masses, we have obviously going up 3 floors now, but we're trying to keep the addition from the street level from 19th to be very, kind of working very hand in hand with the existing structure, but keep it differentiated from the existing structure. So that's the glass connection to the brick addition in the back. Elevations, again, the problem with the elevations is it really, you'll never see the elevation in life, because obviously you can't see it that way, but this is the proposed addition and the elevations. The glass hyphen, the brick. So in materiality, we're keeping the 2-story addition that's in the back. It will be brick. It's going to be painted brick to differentiate from the historic brick. The glass connector will be a storefront, or actually a curtain wall, very similar to the German American Club, where you don't see the frame. The frame is behind the glass. It's an SSG system. The top addition is going to be stucco and glass operable walls. So the glass that you see we're trying to bring the inside outside. So in the times of the year when it's acceptable to have the building open, we're going to open it up and get it as open as possible. The back of the building is just, that's where the addition is. It's going to be brick. And again, we differentiated. We keep the brick only going up 2 stories. And then when you get up to the 3rd-story addition, it's going to be stucco to keep that hyphen. Again, this is the eastern view. So this is actually an impossible view because my office sits right here. But this is just the east elevation on it. The floor plans, and so you can see the columns, basically what we're trying to do. And part of it is we can't go right up against the walls. So we have to be very careful of the foundations as we drill to not disturb the foundations. So we're pulling all our columns kind of off the wall to help with the structure of it. Exiting. This is the proposed 2nd floor, and this is actually the big one, which is the proposed rooftop terrace. So this is all outdoor space up at the top and around, and again, we've worked really with staff to really minimize the impact, the visual impact from the street. We don't really want to see the addition, so we've pulled it back sufficiently so that you don't really see the enclosed portion of it. And again, the interior, this portion of the interior is actually going to be interior, exterior. We're going to have the folding partitions of glass so they could open up the system and make it part of, flow from the inside to the outside. This is a shot of the roof. So on the main roof is one volume. There's a lower volume for the kitchen. This is a lower volume for the stairs. And then this is going to be like some mechanical equipment spaces. And again, this is the sunshades, the louvers, the operable shades for the exterior. Going back to the 3D views, and we're again being very cognizant to try to minimize the visual impact from 7th Avenue and 19th Avenue. You could see, like also too, we're wrapping the brick. So the pavers currently stopped right about here. That's where the pavers, the hex pavers, we're wrapping the pavers all the way around to the drive lane of the existing building. So these are just the black and whites on this. Our wall sections. So part of what we were doing is trying to really, again, part of the minimizing the impact is the stepping back of the existing facade. So we did a section, I think this is it, line of sight. So basically, as we're stepping back, we're trying to keep the building and the view as minimal as possible from it. And what we did was took a proportion from the balcony and then went back 12 feet and then went back another 12 feet so that every time you step up, we're really trying not to have that visual impact from the street level. So one of the things I'm sure you saw was in the initial design of our exhibits, it was deemed not compatible. Part of it is the elevators. The massing was actually not, it was a lot bigger. So we worked with staff and worked with the client to really try to make the massing better. So one of the original designs is the elevator was in the back corner. We have since moved the elevator inboard to the project, right, which helps reduce that corner and allows us to lower or step the massing back of the building. Again, so this is the original, so on the July 3rd submittal, that orange part is the mass that was bigger, 3-story volume. As we move the elevator back in, where it allows us to really reduce the mass of the elevator. Also, the top structure was a lot taller. We have since dropped it 3 feet. So our building now, the top of the structure is about 41 feet, which is still 4 feet below the maximum height. We've also worked with lowering some of the shade structures and pulling the shade structures back. So again, on the July 3rd submittal, not much really changed in the front elevation, but it's actually on the 19th, you could really see how the massing, it was a lot taller canopy. We had a bigger hyphen of glass, and we had the elevator come up. In the final, with working with staff, we reduced the glass hyphen, we've dropped the massing, and we stepped it back, tiered it back to help with the visuals from 19th. So this is, again, the massing structure. And then part of it, too, is just going back to the historic preservation standards, working with the massing and trying not to differentiate the new structure from the old structure, but be very compatible with it. These are again, the massing. We're still keeping the horizontal banding, but as we've lowered it and pushed it back, I think it's actually a lot more proportionate now. And we're actually very happy with working with staff on it, because actually I think staff has made it a better project for us. Same thing, this is just the current designs, the windows, our placements of our windows, keeping the existing structure. So actually, as we're rebuilding, we're keeping our floor-to-floor heights the same. So it's just 13'8" roughly between the first floor and second floor, and then another 13'8" and another 13'8". Because of the elevator, that's another, I know we had talked about working with staff lowering it, trying to lower it as much as possible, but we could only do so much because of the overhead clearance required for the elevator to get you up to the top. This is the glass hyphen, the reduction. You can see how much we've reduced it and actually made it more proportionate to the building addition. Then, again, these are the mass lines, so these are the step back. So there is no structure in the orange area to help reduce it. And we've even worked with them on the handrails, because obviously the parapet of the building is not as high enough for the ADA or for the handrails or guardrails for fall protection. We've pulled the guardrails in. They're going to be glass, but we've pulled them in about, 3 feet off of the property or off the edge of the parapet, so you won't even see the guardrails. Our colors, we're keeping the brick, the colors, and again, the stucco is going to be painted like a dark gray taupe color, and that, as we played with different versions of it, we were lighter colors, neutral colors. It actually started standing out more, and the dark colors really help reduce the massing of it. So the gray color of the brick will we're painting the brick. We're going to use the same style brick, but just we're just going to paint it to differentiate the brick on it. So let's go to these are some of the materials, for the undersides of the soffits, a aluminum clad wood. This is the SSG system. So on the left-hand side is the glass hyphen, and on the right side is going to be the new window systems for the addition. The paver systems, we're going to use like a Tile-Tech pavers, metal where we have the metal roof for the canopies. Those are the wall systems for the operable on the rooftop terrace. And then our renderings of the facility. So this is a view looking from our firm over. Again, you can't really see the addition. We're trying to by painting the building black, or the new addition black, dark colors, we're really trying to minimize the impact onto 7th Avenue. Again, here's a view standing at the corner. This is looking towards 7th Avenue on 19th. The brick pavers, looking at the glass hyphen, and the entry door, because what we're going to have is actually that door. So we're going to use the rooftop will be a restaurant, and they're going to have different operating hours than the main building. So they really wanted to have a new entry piece. So this is the entry that you'll go in. You'll go up the elevator, up the stairs, and get to the rooftop terrace. The dark colors and the new proposed back of the building. So again, we're still not even lining up with the property line of it. And this is just another view. You can see just getting a glimpse of the top of the structure. So, and a night shot of it lit up. And that's it. Yes.
Good morning, Commissioners. Ron Vila, staff with Historic Preservation. When this project came into us on July 3rd, 2024, we reviewed it and we had some concerns. At that time, we generated our staff report that's in front of you today. Since then, we met with his design team multiple times to find a solution that was a little bit more sensitive. On the July 3rd submission, we felt that it was inconsistent with our criteria at that time, that the scale and massing kind of challenged the contributing structure there. Some of the concerns that we had at that time were the rooftop with the scale and the massing. So they're coming forward this morning for kind of two separate requests. One has a rooftop addition to it, and then an addition to the building itself. So when you add vertical height to a contributing structure, which is a two-story building, one story is acceptable if you do it in a sensitive manner. So in working with his design team, we had it pushed back from the parapet, and we had it lowered in scale and massing, so it did not have a negative effect on the structure. So that's some of the discussion that we had that you're seeing this morning here. The connector itself was a little large, and it kind of challenged the primary structure, the contributing structure. And then the addition on 19th Street the verticality of that kind of overwhelmed the historic building. So in working with his design team this morning, what he showed is that the hyphen has been reduced in width. There's a clear transition from the period building to the addition now. It's set back, and then the addition, I don't know if you caught in his drawings, is lower than the two-story building that's there. So it's set back from the zero lot line, and it's a little lower. And if you look at the architectural elements around the windows, they're different as well. He talked about the addition, painting it a different color, leaving the brick as the texture to the building, but possibly painting it, and that might be something that you'll want to elaborate. As this project moves forward, if it's moving towards final, that a complete demo plan and shoring plan has to be submitted to the preservation staff for our review before we sign off on it, before it goes to permitting. So he talked about that he has an engineer here. If there's some questions that need to be asked, so be it, but I believe that that documentation has to be put into the record as well. Just some things from the Secretary of Interior standards. It first talks about, can you accomplish the change to the structure by changing the floor plan? And obviously, this project goes beyond that. So if you need to add to or develop the site a little bit further, you look at doing it in a systematic way that is sensitive to the scale and massing. I think the street perspectives this morning help out the development of the project and the review this morning. He talked about the line of sight, how it stepped back, and that's something that we were doting on in our discussions, that it needs to be set back and sensitive. So although the rooftop addition kind of peaks over a little bit, it doesn't overwhelm it or affect it in a negative way, in staff's opinion. It talks about adding to the building that causes the least amount of loss of the historic fabric. And what he's presented today, I believe that establishes that. It talks about not duplicating the materials, so there's a clear break from what's historic and the new, and with the hyphen that's there, and the change of massing and scale of the addition, I think it addresses that item as well. Moving forward, if this is to be, have a final with some conditions, the balcony is an encroachment that has never been vested through the city, so that has to go through the process. They're aware of that too. It's an administrative function that'll go through and then ultimately land on city council's lap. Some items of additional discussion. The exterior wall material, we have control over the final paint selection or color selection of everything. So if that was not completely evident, then that's fine. The site elements are the pavers. He's going to continue the variegated hex pavers as the discussion and his plans show. And then he showed some lighting here, night lighting, and some more discussion about the placement of that and the light source itself. Having said that, that completes my portion, and I'll be here to answer any questions. Thank you.
A quick question for you, Ron, before you go. So on our staff report that we have in front of us, you say it's inconsistent. Is that still relevant, or has that been updated with the updated submittal?
I believe with the plans that were submitted today and the discussion that we had, and then I saw some of this now for the first time as well, I would change my inconsistent to consistent.
Okay, thank you, sir. Anyone here from the public wishing to comment on the case, please come to the microphone. Seeing none, we're going to ask some questions of the applicant, starting with Mr. Buddy on my left.
All right, so thanks for the presentation. I think I might have missed something, but you had talked about how you were sort of redoing the pavers, redoing the entrances and other stuff, and making them ADA. Are we looking at the front entrance at the corner here? Because I believe.
So actually, that is a good question. There's a bunch of entrances, so I don't think we could change the main front entrance because of that concrete or
Right.
that steel curb
Right.
in there. So if this is the entry now, and this is, oops, okay. So that's the entry piece that you're seeing with the curb. We're just gonna use this door as the ADA entry pieces, right? And we're maintaining each one of these. And so as the property kind of slopes, we're gonna try to correct it so that it is accessible for the public, because, part of, code. But we're gonna try to maintain it, so any type of work that we have to do, we're gonna keep it that same design, so the hex won't go into it. We'll have a mosaic tile, in those insets.
Okay, so you're just
Yeah.
grading the sidewalk.
Yeah, we're
at
just
that
trying to
point.
straighten it
Okay.
up as best we
Yep.
can. Obviously, there's, maybe not all three, but we definitely, depending on the uses that go in, because they, not that this is the forum for use, but, if they have like a retail or a future, we got to make sure it's accessible.
Right.
The column, that column obviously makes a very big problem with the accessibility, but it is a structural element. So again, that's why we're moving the accessible entrances over to the front facade. And then again, the restaurant, for the rooftop restaurant, we are gonna enter through the side to get to that. Again, keeping that separation between the first floor, second floor use and the rooftop terrace, so.
Got it, thank you. So, and that rendering, you had shown all the lighting that's on the original structure as well. Is there gonna be any lighting on the addition and?
So,
around the back of the alley and all that
the
stuff?
only lighting that we're really gonna do on the addition is, definitely on the glass hyphen. We are gonna backlight the hyphen of that. Let me go back into my render. Okay, so we are gonna keep the historic lighting that's in the building. The hyphen will be lit, because they do wanna use that as a couple things for safety. If it's at night, you could see people coming in and out of the stairs, and you could swing in. But more, it's gonna be like something that kind of like they wanted to showpiece the stairs and going up to the rooftop terrace. The back is actually, in the function of the building, is gonna be more administrative, so we're not gonna really kind of draw our attention to it. We're definitely keeping the attention to the historic or contributing structure of the building.
Okay. I'm not sure you have a more blown up wall section. I think one of your previous renderings kind of showed it too, but it looks like from, you're stopping with the original, so the stucco wall, all that's getting demolished, you're building the hyphen.
Yeah.
And then, you're just building a new wall to the south of that
Yeah,
building
okay,
as well.
yeah,
Is that how that works?
so here, let me,
Yeah,
let's see.
I'm not sure if you have blown up wall section there, just kind of
Yeah,
see
there
the
was
details.
Okay, yeah, so this is through the whole building. So the back of the building, this is actually through the elevator shaft, because that was part of it, we tried to lower it, and we worked with staff on this. They were like, any height you can get out of that out of the rooftop terrace, please do it. Again, it started off, we were actually at 44 feet. We're now down to 41 feet, and again, we're kind of limited with the overhead clearance of the elevator. But that back wall is roughly right about here, and so that wall is going to come out because it's the stucco wall, but it is going to come out, and it's going to be put back in, but not it's going to be a framed wall, but it's going to be a steel structure inside. But that's where that wall currently sits. So our addition is basically this portion right here from that wall back.
And maybe want to give renders kind of showed it a little bit. I'm just kind of curious about the transition from the original brick wall to the hyphen
okay.
to how that. I'm assuming the hyphen kind of connects to that new wall you're building, but then how it kind of pops up above. And,
Okay,
all those little transitional pieces that kind of happen there. Yeah, I think that.
This one right here?
Yes.
Yeah, okay,
All right.
so this is this edge, there's the old brick. When we go back, again, we have to set it back. We're about setting the whole building back is about 3 feet, a little bit more than 3 feet, so the doors, obviously, when the doors swing, you can't swing into the right-of-way. So we're pulling it back away from the building. It's going to be a stucco piece right at the edge. You can see that portion is going to be a stucco, so the historic structure. But that's where right now, that's currently stucco. It's stucco brick. When we go back into the building, we are going to do a brick structure. This will be the glass SSG system, and then we'll go onto a stucco. But you can't really see it here, is that the elevator used to be here, and it used to this go 3-story all the way back. We've pushed it back further so that the only 3-story volume right on 19th is the stairs.
I said all that white is stucco, and then so the banding would just be kind of like a stucco as well.
Yeah,
That-
stucco,
okay.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and we're definitely not trying to mimic, we're trying to keep the lines and the presence of those lines, but we don't want, obviously, brick lines. We don't want it, we just want to keep it very mild. We'll do a standard brick with stucco details, and then we'll paint the whole thing so that it's a tone that works complementary to the red brick that we have. And the hard part with the red brick is it's 19th, you know, they did one type of brick on 19th, they did another type of brick on 7th, and then also graffiti. We're gonna have to work with staff on what's the best way to remove some graffiti from the building.
And then would there be any signage for just the entrance of the restaurant or anything like that?
Yeah, so we are gonna have signage for the uses, and we'll have a sign, again, I think the sign, it was gonna be inside the glass for the restaurant, but we haven't really got that to the signage of the building yet.
Okay. And I think my last question is, there's a bunch of rooftop units on the original structure, since you're removing that. I think I saw on the rendering, it's like in the southwest corner?
Yeah,
that you
so
can
we are,
consolidate?
so that is a good question.
Yeah.
So originally, we originally had the roof, on the original design, we're gonna have a rooftop structure. They wanted the kitchen, that's where the kitchen was, because the kitchen was gonna be on the second floor. When we were working with our kitchen consultant, you can't really, it's not efficient. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually do an interior, exterior, like that's the back of the building. We have louvers. And so those will be the air handlers. Well, the air handlers will be, there it is, yeah. These will be a room for the air handlers. Now, we can't do, the DOAS unit cannot be inside, outside like this. So it's actually going where the old elevator is. It's gonna go right here, and we're gonna screen it so that you can't see the DOAS unit, because they're not very, they're, you know, big, but there's gonna be split. So the HVAC, we're gonna hide into where the kitchen used to be on the second floor. Now the kitchen's going up to onto the rooftop. We just flopped it around, but the DOAS will be up in its own little space.
Okay.
Which actually worked beneficial when we moved the elevator shaft in. It gave us a perfect spot for it.
Okay, and it looks like you do have a bit of safety lighting in the back here.
Yeah,
as
oh yeah,
well
definitely, yeah, for
that
that.
stuff.
Yeah, that was one we, since the building is not occupied now, we are having a little security issue with people hiding out in the alcoves. So we definitely we'll be conscious of the security, but the back of the building is going to be a function, it's going to be a utilitarian function. That's where the deliveries are going to occur. It's where all the restaurants already get their deliveries, is on the back.
And so then, what type of glass will be used on the project?
It's going to be, well, we have to do the code, it's going to be impact.
Yeah.
What we're going to try to do is this, again, when we did German American Club, the hyphen is going to be a nicer, clear glass. I think we use sapphire glass.
Yeah.
On the hyphen, we'll use a regular glass for the windows, then like these windows on the back and the side. We don't really have that many. When we get to the first floor, or the second floor windows, we'll have it framed out, more detailed, more kind of matching, not quite historic, but, you know, it'll be like divided lights. Then when you get to the kitchen area, it's just gonna be standard glass, but it'll all be storefront, impact rated.
And it's like the color tint?
No,
clarity,
clear,
does
I
it
wanna use
match-
clear. I wanna do
match
clear,
the
because that's what the
original?
glass is.
Yeah,
We'll just use a higher end for the hyphen, because that way that it gets really clear, so when it lights up, you don't really see the glass as much. So.
All right, thank you. Any more questions?
We have talked about a lot of it. I like the adjustments that you've made with staff input.
Yeah.
I really like that. One of the things that keeps coming around in the back, how are you managing trash? How are you managing all of that stuff in that back alley?
Okay, so there is actually, in the parking lot, there is where, I think sorry, that's the wrong place. It was, Orpheum had a dumpster pad up there that's still there now, and then when, the restaurant, there was another restaurant that was using it, it's since, or closed, and the dumpster's been pulled. I'm hopeful that we could use that dumpster again. When I was there, that's what our dumpster was there too. We'll probably have to do a combination of cans and dumpsters, you know, obviously, but that's why we're storing in the overhead compartment right here. There's gonna be an overhead door. We'll store the cans inside. But based on a restaurant, the use, I mean, if you look at Acropolis right across, they have like 20 cans and it's ugly as sin.
Yeah.
So, you know, so we're gonna have a enclosure for us inside the building. But we'll have to, you know, probably use that pad that's out there, it was used that for a restaurant. There was a grease
Exactly.
trap, yeah, and we'll probably use it again, so.
Okay. And then just to clarify my notes, the only 3-story is the stairs. When you go into the addition, it's a 2-story.
No, so
Did I misunderstand?
No, the kitchen, this part is 2-story. What we're doing is we're stepping it back as we go in. So right on 19th, we're 12 foot away, there won't be a 2-story, right? It's, the stairs go up, but you go in a little bit, we do have the rooftop terrace restaurant.
Right.
That will be, that the kitchen will be there. It will be a 3-story, but we've kind of pulled it away and differentiated it, so it doesn't feel like a 3-story volume
Got
right
it.
on you. That's,
Okay.
but it will be a 3-story, only in the
Okay,
back, right?
I wasn't sure when I was making notes, and I'm like, I just
No.
wanted to clarify.
No, so there will be, because there's an emergency stair, so this is the other one.
Right.
You know, we have a lot of emergency stairs because of the, you know, the way the
Okay.
exiting out of this stuff, we have to be very cognizant of it, so.
Okay,
Okay.
that's all I have.
Hi. Do you have any examples of the lighting that you proposed that's new at the rear and the rear addition or rooftop areas?
So we are showing like the globe lights. I don't have the actual samples, so
You
but-
intend to use those at the rear where you were
Yeah,
talking about?
yeah, so these lights that were on the main building, we'll put them at we'll put those same type of light fixtures around.
So
they'll
there's
prob-
no intent to put security type fixtures
Oh,
like
no, 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 no,
floodlights?
you mean like ugly wall packs or that's like something?
Yeah,
No,
tied
we'll
in
defi-
with your
We'll
system?
tie the lights in with the historic lights. The owner is actually he loves the kind of historic nature, that's why he bought the building. He's really wanting to spend a lot of money to improve the building, obviously, because this is not gonna be a cheap endeavor. We're not gonna make something, you know, we're gonna
Right.
definitely use historic or complementary lights. We're not gonna use historic lights, but they will complement the building. And will
What
be-
about the rooftop addition? What are the light fixture ideas there? Do you
So
have that?
those are gonna be, I think we're on that one, again, for part of we don't wanna overly light, and we obviously have, dark skies ordinances and such, so I think our lights are gonna be interior shining down on it, so I don't think and our goal would not to be to see the lighting, because I don't like seeing lights
Okay.
on it, but we'll have them in the soffits in the facility. And if we have any wall sconce for it, again, it will be a very minimal, complementary historic. But again, as we push the building back, hopefully you're not gonna see any of those fixtures anyhow.
Okay. So, we talked a little bit about the doors, the new doors. At the rear, what are the doors and what is the roll-up
Okay.
door?
So all the back doors are gonna be hollow metal doors, and they're gonna be, not industrial, they're just service doors. The roll-up door is gonna be the service entry piece for it, that's where they'll bring equipment, and food deliveries, or, actually, they've talked about, in this being the food delivery too. But that's actually, anything that's bigger can't go through a standard door, they'll go through the overhead door. The building adjacent to it also has an overhead door, a sectional door. Ours is just gonna be a coiling door rather than a, sectional door.
Yours is also very tall. Is there a reason for it being that tall?
No, we could definitely reduce the height of it,
Okay.
to make it work.
And then in terms of signage, you talked about it being on glass for the restaurant piece where the glass insertion is going. But in your renderings, you show wall-mounted signage on 7th.
On 7, yeah, so,
Yeah. Are those new or are
no,
you
so
going
those
to
are actually
reuse
there.
the existing?
Use the existing. I think this one actually says Blind Tiger, and there was
Yeah.
like different ones. There was, let me go back to make sure that I am not misspeaking here, because I'll go to the existing. Yeah, so you could see, that's not very good. Oh, I guess they don't have it.
Is that
They have-
7th?
No,
That's
this is
7th.
seventh, yeah, so
Yeah,
they
so there
don't,
are
they don't
none.
have it, so we will, if we do signage, we currently have a blade, maybe I'm just confusing with my office, because we have a blade sign in ours. But you can see the globe lights, and that's what we'll try to do, but they're definitely gonna have, signage for these individual tenants.
More than likely, you will have blade signs off
Yeah,
the
yes,
wall.
yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yes. And we're showing it in our rendering, so that's.
Okay.
I thought they had some existing, that was mine.
And then, there was another question I had. Oh, so in terms of the historic materials, will there be cleaning and repointing of the existing brick?
So yes, yeah, so we're, part of the brick work when we demo it, we've been talking with staff, is making sure that, you know, we're anticipating there being some, you know, damage. You can't demo a floor and not have it, so we definitely want to repoint, retuck the building. We're gonna have this, our structural engineer talk about, and if we have to add brick ties to pull the building back together, we'll do that. But since we don't know the scope yet, because we haven't done the demolition, we'll definitely work with staff to make sure that whatever the repair is appropriate for it. But our goal is to repoint the building first. But
Right.
then any type of damage that occurs, just because I know these buildings, they probably don't have ties holding the face brick back.
Okay, and then one more question about historic materials. Are there any interior materials that you are thinking about saving or reusing in some way within the project?
So, not really, because the second floor was renovated as a long time ago for the Perry Company. It was a construction company, and they don't have much. It was a very modern type of renovation. And I haven't been in there since the law firm left. And then the restaurant, when it was Blind Tiger, they didn't really save much of the existing. In fact, I think even the floor, when you go in it, you could see the old tile, but it was all removed before this owner bought the building. So I don't think there's anything really inside to save.
Okay, that's it for my questions at this time.
We'll stay on the existing building. What about the windows? The existing windows?
So-
Front storefront, side windows?
Yeah, so I think our application basically is like right now is to keep it. If we have to do any type of renovation to the existing, I think that's another, we'll either have to work with staff or administrative to do that kind of work on it. But right now, this current proposal is leaving the design, the front of the exterior walls as they are.
Okay. And I think you said the interior floor is getting gutted. You have
Yeah,
the micropiles going in.
Yeah, it was bad. It was cracking when we were there, and it was multi-levels. And again, to do the structure, to do the columns in there, we really do have to do micropiles. So, because they can't get the drill rig into the facility, and we can't remove, the structural engineer was very adamant that we have to do it simultaneously, that you put the foundations in, then you remove, and we're gonna have to be very methodical about it. So there's just no chance of really saving the floors.
Okay. And the balconies, what kind of restoration are you gonna do on that?
So that
Some of
one,
them look like they were kinda-
so part of it too is if they want to use it for the new obviously codes, where we want to keep the design as the current, we're going to clean it up, but the design of it is going to be the same design. We're just going to have to reinforce it because there's parts of it that are rotten, it's wood. It's not going to hold up the current weights that the current building code, and unfortunately, this is a level 3 alteration, so we have to bring up the building up to code. But our intent is to keep the balcony as is, keep the front facades, keep the openings exactly. I mean, to the point where that's where even our floor, we would like to have a higher floor-to-floor height. It will negatively affect the second floor window placement, so we're trying to match that, and we'll get the height via open structure.
I think some of your renderings showed the underside of the balconies having some wood siding or
Yeah.
paneling in there.
Yeah.
Is that
So that's
that you're adding in, or is that just the
Yeah, so we
renderings?
were gonna add, so the owner, when we do the structure, he wants to do it again, but I think that was just a part of the rendering. You can see right now, there is a structure, it is wood, it's just painted black. We're gonna have to repair it, so we'll work with staff to make sure that whatever we do if we can't do the underside, that was just a rendering, kind of a dream that you would have like the wood look, and it would be wood paneling, just like it is, but without all the.
Yeah, because if you go,
Yeah.
once you're one of your
Yeah.
renderings, it looks like you have wood
Yeah, yeah,
paneling
yeah,
up there, and that's
Yeah,
I just wanna make sure that we're on the same page here.
Yes, no, you are definitely correct. There is a wood underside on one of them. Come on, yeah, right there.
Right, so that's just a
Yeah,
rendering technique.
Yeah, that was just, so we'll work with, again, because part of it is vested, it's not the right-of-way, we don't have the permit. When we've been working with the city to get the permitting, they're like, you gotta leave, if we do any type of renovations to it, it has to be the exact column placement, we're working with the civil engineer to do the legal description to get that worked out. And if we do make any changes, that will part of it with the windows to the balcony. Our intent is just to keep the balcony as is. We're gonna have the metal look still on the balcony, so.
Okay.
But it might have like a painted finish. So.
And you mentioned the rooftop area, you mentioned the front setbacks on the upper levels were 12 feet, then 12 feet.
Yeah.
You stagger that.
Yeah.
Is that the same dimension? It's tough to read the dimensions. Is that another 12 feet on the western side?
Yeah, so it is 12 feet on both, yeah, so on 19th, and on Seventh, we're 12 feet off of it to keep that proportion
Okay.
from it. Yeah.
Okay, let's see, let's go to our, west elevation,
That would be,
the 19th Street.
yeah.
Probably your flat elevation
flat
that's
elevation, yeah.
rendered would
Okay.
be,
Oh, the rendered one. Nope, sorry.
yeah, last
Sorry.
step.
There it is.
Okay, good. So, let's talk about the new windows on the addition.
Yeah.
So the existing building has eyebrows, you're not gonna carry through
No.
that eyebrow. So on the first level, are those the same size as the existing high windows?
Yeah, so we're gonna try to put the same finished floor, but we'll do it with, instead of the rounded arched windows, we're just gonna do them square windows.
But it's the same size?
Yeah, same size.
And it has a dividing
Yeah,
light there?
Yep.
So on the second floor, they look a little bit bigger, but I'm not sure if it's same
Yeah, so
size
this
and-
is, so in this, if you look at the rendering, because these are the historic windows, they're a lot smaller. We're keeping the heights, the proportions the same, but there's gonna be a storefront system, so they're gonna be, and their impact, so they're 2.5-inch frames on it. Again, we're not gonna do any type of the eyebrow detail, that like the brick header piece, but we'll do a stucco piece on it, but keep the proportions the same, just.
It's gonna be stucco?
But it's, yeah, it'll be stucco, so the
But
banding.
the gray part is brick, it's painted
Yeah,
brick.
yeah, this is brick, this will be stucco header, stucco header, and the same with the sill.
Okay. And then up on the third floor, is that a window or a door?
This right here?
Yes.
Okay, that is a window. So that's the landings so when we reduce the hyphen, obviously the stairs are a certain size that we can't change for the finished floor height. So what we did is that the landings occur here and here. So when you come up, as you move up the stairs, you'll see that portion, but when you come into the landing, that's now to help reduce the hyphen on that. And so that's the
So there's no
landing.
window detailing on the upper level?
Yeah,
And
no,
even
yeah,
when we
we're
get to the rear elevation, that's one plate
Yep,
as well?
yeah, so when you go, first floor, similar proportion windows, right, same size windows up high. You go to the second floor, we'll do the divided light, the four divided light with square headers. When you get up to the third floor, because there is none, we're just gonna do picture windows, square, and very minimal.
Okay. And let's move right from that upper window. That's a mechanical area?
Yeah, that's
screening?
that's where we're gonna try to put the DOAS, or not DOAS, yeah, DOAS, the compressor. So it's gonna be a split system.
Okay, and what's that screening material?
Yeah, that's gonna be, black, like aluminum louver to keep the airflow, but then to hide the, DOAS, compressor.
Like typical mechanical
Yeah,
screening, like?
yeah. Louvers, yeah, we did this very, very similar on German American Club. It's just like 4 posts and a rain screen, so it
Okay.
blocks it, yeah.
And that's setback?
Yeah, yeah, we're again, pushing it back. I think we haven't obviously got to the DOAS size, but we took a big worst-case scenario. It's a big
Okay.
unit, so.
And then when we get to the upper level, those are just clear story windows,
Yes.
no, vertical divides, but no, and that seems to, you're maintaining your rhythm in there. I guess that's all based off of your structural grid now?
Yes, yeah, yes. So then these will be the operable nano-wall doors, and then whatever the door size and the frames, I guess that one, should be 3, that shows 4, but we're supposed to have the same rhythm, top and bottom,
Okay,
yeah.
so we can make that match.
Yeah, make that, yeah, that's.
And then above the stairwell, probably that needs to kind of match that as well.
Well,
with the spacing.
so the stair, now that's far back, that's, if you look on the plan, that's really far back, so we're gonna
Right.
match the windows above the addition, because this is gonna be SSG, and it's gonna be far enough back where I don't even think you'll see
No.
that portion from the street, so, because the edge of that stair will block you.
And how are you, am I seeing at column line 7 there, is that a downspout?
Yeah, yeah, we'll probably end up doing those internal, but right now I think that is a downspout going to the back.
Okay. All right, let's go rotate over to the rear elevation.
Yeah.
Okay, so here you show the downspouts.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. And we already commented about the overhead door, that probably needs to maintain the header, consistent header
Okay.
across.
Yeah.
And then over on the bottom right-hand corner, is that inset for a
Yeah.
egress door?
That's the emergency stair. That's the.
Okay, and how far is that inset?
3 foot, I think it's about 3 foot, 4 foot.
Okay. But your door, go back to your 19th Street elevation. The man door adjacent to the stairwell, does that open in or out?
That's out too, but the whole build, so we pushed that whole facade 3 foot back.
Okay.
So that it'll swing out, but it'll be swinging out in the,
Still
inside the
unprotected,
right,
but it's
inside.
still
the-
within
Yeah,
property line?
Yep.
Okay.
yeah. We didn't want, the pockets are that's for rain and on the backside. So those we're close enough to the property line where we can't swing out. We do want them to be inset for egress and ADA and for shelter, rain shelter but, you know, it is, you have to inside them in.
Okay. And those 3 middle ones are all,
Yeah, those are gonna be louvers, that's
Storefront.
the fresh air.
I mean, yeah, louvers?
Louvers,
Okay.
yeah.
And you're kind of on the fence with the downspouts, or?
Yeah, well, I would prefer to do interior ones, and I think we could get that done.
And when we're looking at this, from the existing photos, there's a ton of electrical panels and mechanical units out there.
So that's where, we want all that inboard in our building, so that's where, again, part of the garage, that service entries on the first part. So we've created that addition will be the service portion. The fire riser, we're gonna have to move, the fire riser currently is, where the stairs are in the building.
Okay. I mean.
But we're gonna
yeah,
have to
that's-
rework all that,
yeah.
with the civil,
Okay.
and
And do you have any, I didn't see any wall sections for that back area. I think it's.
yeah,
looked
we
like
just
it's gonna
have
be
the
CMU
main
brick.
building section. Yeah, so the brick portion, so, yeah. So we're gonna do, it's CMU and then, brick on it. Full
Okay.
brick.
And those overhangs, is that, you're gonna use like a soffit panel on that?
On these piece, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because you're gonna do kind of a
flat roof.
flat structure. and-
Yeah, so part of that was another thing. We had a very modern structure. It was sloped, it was kind of like canted. But as we worked with staff and the massing concerns, we've kind of straightened everything out and dropped it to help keep that set back so you don't see it, because you were seeing the peak of the roof. If we could flatten it out and it doesn't really hurt the overall design, and it keeps that kind of horizontal banding, since there was no angled roof in the beginning, so we have since kind of flattened everything out.
Okay. Can we look at the front elevation? real
The which
quick?
one?
Front,
Oh, elevation, the colored one?
sure.
So this is
So
41.
that's a little setback even on your side, like where your office is, that's kind of set.
Yes,
set.
yeah, and actually part of that too is 5 foot. It was a little bit closer, and I was like, no, yeah, if we put any type of operable walls, we got to make sure that we're 5 feet off for the fire ratings on it. And again, to help to minimize the addition impact. Not that I think you'll see it, but I think it just makes it, it'll be easier to construct, and it'll also be for the fire ratings. We don't have to go crazy. We're allowed 25% openness on that facade. And I think being 5%, if you're 5 feet off, if you're less than 5, it drops down to a number that we can't work with. so.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I think, there's some base spacing here when we look at the ground floor and how that, it's kind of a funny situation. I think you've done a nice job here. I kind of look for more signals from the storefront on the ground floor to be translated up, but it doesn't even translate up to the second floor necessarily.
Yeah.
So I think it's its own defining element. And I think you've made some nice adjustments to minimize that and set that back, so it flows a little bit more with the existing building.
Yeah, and I think one of the perspectives, what we wanted is that we're not even continuing that, the bays, like we have 3 bays, but even it's the middle one is not even gonna be an enclosure. We're just gonna do the 2 ends to help minimize the impact on 7th. The owner does want to put some landscaping, a tree and stuff on the rooftop terrace, but that'd be landscaping stuff.
And right behind the flag globe light, there's another door there, right?
Yeah, so that was the historic 2-story, how you got to the 2-story.
Right.
We're maintaining it. I don't know if it'll be a door, because right now it goes into a little vestibule and then the stairs go up, depending on how the final interior, whatever the function is, but that door will be maintained.
Yeah, I think it's your general understanding that everything needs to be maintained.
Oh, yeah,
Historic
yeah,
there,
so
and whether it's used or not,
Yeah,
it's still.
3
gonna be there.
facades we are maintaining. That's our 100% our goal is to maintain the contributing structure. not change the proportions, not change any of it. And if we do any changes to it through remediation, we'll go through staff to make sure it's approved properly.
That's good for me. Any other questions, follow-up questions?
I have one more. You had mentioned you have your structural engineer here. Have you already done a structural report? It sounds like you have.
So, we haven't done a report yet, because our project was, we were gonna demo the portion of it. I do know that there is parts of it, because it's an old building, and it's a wood structure, and when I used to work in there, you could definitely hear the people creaking along the floor, and then they did some renovation work in it and removed walls. I know the first floor had load-bearing partitions, the second floor had load-bearing, they've opened it up, put some beams, and, but it was all designed for, I don't even think, the current office loads on it. So we haven't done a report, but they're gonna do one or we're gonna have to do a shoring report on it, so on how to
Okay.
keep the facade.
One more question. I don't remember seeing anything about hardware,
So
the new hardware.
Yeah, so the existing doors, again, because we're maintaining all of the existing building, the front facade. So the back will just be, the doors that we add, are just gonna be lever, ADA lever, Schlage hardware, nothing. And the door to the storefront will be, the standard storefront curtain wall door, push pull.
I have no other questions.
Okay, everyone's good? Okay. So we asked you some questions. You have a few minutes if you'd like to summarize any of our discussions or rebut anything that we talked about.
No, I mean, I think, I would like to, thank Ron, working with staff. It's been actually we've done this many times with him. It's a pleasure working with him. I think his commentary has helped make the project a better project, so it's always a balance between what the owners want, what the historic preservation want, and what code wants. And I feel like what we've done has kind of balanced all of that. So we get the owner what he wants, we get historic preservation and staff what they want, and I hope this will be a successful project. So, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. We're gonna go ahead and close the public hearing and have discussion of the application in front of us. Would you like to start? Am I right?
Oh, okay.
Put you on the hot seat.
I do feel that they've done a great job of trimming and editing since the July 3rd submittal. I understand that there are, certain variables, and those are subject to change as they move forward and develop the design. So hopefully they will continue to work with staff very closely and ensure that, in particular, the pieces that I'm most concerned about is if there are any structural reinforcement needs for the balconies specifically and the existing awnings over them, that they are minimized as much as possible. They seem to be showing some mini trusses in their renderings, and minimizing those as much as possible. And then, of course, the wood soffit idea is not historically compatible, in my opinion, with the project and the specific property and its contributing characteristics. So those are a couple of things I think that I'm most concerned about right now.
I like what they've done and how they've laid out, adjusting with staff's input, again, from the July 3rd submission. I like the adjustments and the changes that they've made to accommodate. I think it'll be a good addition. I think it can be a good thing.
I agree. I think this would be a good adaptive reuse of the space.
And just concur with the other commissioners. I think what you've done and worked with Ron and staff has been a big boon to the project and the addition. I think for final things like, and details like final color palettes, hardware, lighting, signage, that type of stuff, you can continue to work with staff to finalize all that, as you've probably done many times.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we always do it. I hope, my experience with you guys has proven that we do that, work with staff.
Yeah, and I think, I'd echo my fellow commissioners' comments. I think some strong moves have been made to kind of reel this project back in, that we're more sensitive. We know that the applicant has done a fine job doing the German-American Club and the sensitivity there. It seems like, there's a few things, some of the window spacing on the second floor, you gotta have to remember it's kind of its own unique element too. So, with that transition there, it allows a little bit more freedom. I think the setbacks there for the rooftop areas are acceptable, 12-foot back. You're still gonna see things from 7th Avenue, but it's minimized, and I think it's done in a historically sensitive manner. They've made some nice moves with the use of elements and respecting the historic fabric while, getting more out of that site. That back area has always been an eyesore. So it'll be nice to have something built out there that uses that space more effectively. They've done things here that are historically sensitive for the existing building. I think they're going to find some things that happened in construction that'll have to be kind of worked through with that existing facade. They said the right things when it comes to the structural things that we're going to shore up before we start tearing things out, which sometimes may or may not happen in Ybor City. So, I think that's something that, and I think staff is also well-versed on dealing with the issues that are going to come up during the renovation of this building and work with them on the final palette. So a couple things, just I think that back, on the back rear elevation, that overhead door, everything needs to be at the same header elevation there. So that probably reduce the size of that overhead door a little bit. Besides that, I think the materials look good, and I think they're pretty much on their way. So a couple conditions, but I think we're good. You ready for a motion or further discussion?
Need a motion. So we can do a final approval with conditions for a certificate of appropriateness. So move to grant a certificate of appropriateness for the drawings and documents presented at this public hearing in BLC 24-0000101 for the property located at 1901 East 7th Avenue, with the following conditions: that the applicant work with staff to finalize the final exterior palette, including colors, hardware, lighting, signage. That the applicant looks to reduce the height of the overhead door in the back to align with the rest of the doors. And that the applicant work with staff during the construction and demolition process to minimize any extraneous structures, especially to the balconies on the exterior, and to not add the underside cladding to the underside of the balconies as well. Because based on the finding of fact, any other conditions that I may have missed? I think you got them all, right?
Excuse me, yes, they also need to work with staff on the encroachment agreement to encroach into the right-of-way.
And then that the applicant work with staff to work on the encroachment agreement for the right-of-way for the balconies as well. Because based upon the finding of fact, the proposed project is consistent with the Ybor City Design Guidelines of the City of Tampa for the following reasons: that it meets the Secretary of Interior standards for additions, and that it meets the design criteria for new addition and construction, and the Ybor City Design Guidelines for height and width, facade width, setback, spacing, alignment, similarity of details and forms, and building materials.
Mr. Vila?
Yeah, if I could just get, put into the record as well, the demo and shoring plan that needs to be submitted at the time they want final approval from us.
So could you say that again? So they need to submit a demo?
A demo and shoring plan.
Demo and
When
shore-
they
okay.
come forward, prior to getting a permit, they have to get a sign off by us, and at that time, we want to review that with the other, my colleagues within the city building department to make sure that it meets our criteria.
And that the applicant submit a demo and shoring plan before getting a permit to have staff sign off as well.
I second the motion.
Okay. What did you say?
I second the motion.
Okay.
And then he has agreed.
There's been a number of conditions placed on this application. Can the applicant acknowledge these conditions and
Yes.
their agreement with them?
Yes, we acknowledge those
All right.
conditions.
All in favor of said motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations. Okay, Mr. Vila.
Good morning, Commissioners. Ron Vila, I'm staff for Historic Preservation. We have 3 agenda items left on our morning meeting, and they kind of all are contiguous. So I'm going to open them up together. The agent knows how to proceed with her presentation, and then we would take them one by one when we move into a motion. So the next agenda items are BLC-24-00000126, and that's for the address of 2307 through 2309 East 12th Avenue. The next one is BLC 24-00000130. That's for the address of 2301 East 12th Avenue. And the last one is BLC 24-00000131. All of them are coming forward for new construction for duplexes with site improvements. This is the Sanborn map that dates back to 1929. The properties in question, there's two duplexes that are gonna be here. There's a historic structure that is still current and it'll show up on the photo presentation, and then there's one at the corner. So, the subject site is on the corner of 23rd Street and 12th Avenue. There is a functional alley in the back. It is partially unimproved, but it is open, and as part of this project, they're gonna reinvigorate the alley, which is a positive. So the grid will be put back in place. This is our vicinity map. Obviously, the red indicates the local historic district. This is just, you get a sense of place. Properties in question are over here. I'm gonna work from east to west. This is 23rd and 12th Avenue. This is the corner parcel. As you work to the east, this is the contributing structure that showed up on the Sanborn map that is obviously still in place. And as you work to the east, there'll be a duplex here, and they'll be side by side. As you continue down the block, we have some historic fabric. As you look at these structures, use them as a reference from setback from the front property lines, which is very difficult to show here as part of the project moving forward. They are gonna put a sidewalk in for that pedestrian experience and that urban experience to draw everybody out and to circulate. But you see elevation from grade here, about 3 steps, excuse me. This is looking from 23rd down 12th Avenue, so you get a totality of the block. The corner lot is here, the historic structure that I showed, and then the two other duplexes are gonna go here. But you see how the period structures frame that street. You see the setbacks, the roof lines, so everything is drawn towards the front property line. And just the last one I'm gonna show, I think this is the one that's kind of most important. And just across the street, you have, a vacant parcel here that will be developed, I'm sure, in the near future. And then to the north of that, you have the interstate. So that concludes the photo presentation, and I'll have the agent address the board.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Michael Mintzberg with Site Development, the principal behind this project. Address is 1925 East 6th Avenue, and I have been sworn in. First, I just want to thank staff for working with us on this. This is a kind of continuation of a hearing we were here two months ago for, with this whole section of East Ybor that we're redeveloping some infill here and bringing some life to some of these vacant lots. Been vacant for a long time, a lot that we lost homes through urban renewal. I just want to point out, we're very intimately familiar with this block in particular. The homes highlighted in yellow were all homes that were moved to this location when the interstate expansion was done. We actually purchased and renovated all of those existing homes 5-6 years ago and sold them. So that was our introduction to this block specifically. And then everything highlighted in blue is where we're planning new units with this application. And everything highlighted in green are owners that we have spoken to who are in support of this project. So kind of wanted to, you all know this is part of a larger project here but I wanted to just focus in on this block and just show kind of how intimately familiar we are with it. And we really took inspiration from the Sanborn here and from talking to owners and making sure that we could be courteous of the existing properties. So I will hand it over to Stephanie, but thank you very much. Oh, and one other thing I want to mention is we do have several letters of support that Ron should have submitted, including one from the East Ybor Neighborhood Civic Association. So.
Good morning. Thank you so much. Do we have to get in here?
You're good there.
Escape.
Where's escape?
Escape. Stephanie Gaines and Michael Pilar with Grow Architecture. We're fortunate to be working with Michael Minchberg and his team on another project, great project for Ybor, we believe. And as Michael said in the beginning, this is part of a bigger project. And just to remind those of you who were here in May and those that maybe weren't, we mentioned in May, we came before the board for Block 1, or Block 1 and this little piece of Block 2, which got approval. And mentioned that for the next few months, we would be back with several others. So these three are the duplexes we're here to talk about today. And then next month, we will come with 2 single-family homes, application 5 and 6, along with application 2, which is down much further south between 2nd and 3rd Avenue. That one got kind of pushed out of the sequence, but we'll be back next month for those. And again, we'll go back to the Sanborn map. And what I want to point out here, can we zoom in? Yeah. This block, and as also as Michael said and Ron said, these are 3 duplexes that are very similar. They have minor exterior differences, which in fact was influenced by comments we received from staff. But they're all here in a row. So I'm going to give an overall presentation for the first one, and then the abbreviated presentations for the other 2 that just will show the differences. What I wanted to point out here is, this block is unusual. It is shortened for some reason, unlike the blocks around it. But it is jam-packed like sardines with the historic, there are 34 residences shown on this map. 24 of them are duplexes and 10 single-family. And now only 9 residences exist on that property. So this will do a great job of adding some infill. We've got our some historic references of different single-family and duplex housing in Ybor, and these were used for reference as far as proximity to the street. These 2 houses are actually at the western end of the block, and so you can see that they're right up on the street, and there's 2-story new construction, and also just to show in general that housing was built back in the historic period that was very similar to one another. There was a lot of that going on. Details right next to each other, close proximity. All had porches, front porches, mix of scales. Just the things you all know about those. I have to zoom out, I guess. Well, there we go. Okay. This is the overall block plan, showing the 3 duplexes and the 9 single-family residences that are existing on the block. We're going to review the corner block as the main block. There is right-of-way for an alley, but it is unimproved. So the intent here is to have all of our two-car garages off of the alley and to improve that alley to the extent that we can. There are some encroaching structures further to the west, so we are stopping that improvement at this point. Sidewalks exist along 11th and up 23rd Street, but not along 12th Street. In fact, there's no curb. It's hard to see the street edge in this area. So anyway, a part of our plan is to include the sidewalk improvements as all the way to the end of the 3 properties being constructed. We used, let me see, I think I'll go, well, you can see here, we measured, took notice of all of the setbacks for all of the adjacent buildings and came up with a averaged setback. I'm going to go to the next. This is a close-up of the one corner lot. The setback averaging came up with a 5-foot front setback for us. The house just to our east, adjacent, is a little bit forward of that line. And most of the other homes on the block, there's 3 other structures there right at that line. There's a 3-foot setback on the side. We have increased that to 3 feet 4 inches to give ourselves a little bit of construction room. You'll notice this house is right up on the property line. With 3 feet or less, we're not allowed to put any windows in, and we felt that was important to do, so we've given ourselves enough space to do that. So it's a general front porches and sidewalk entries off of the front. We've got an indention here reminiscent of another project we showed you in May, which helps break up the massing of the 2 units. Garages are entered off of the alley to the south. And that will be improved with asphalt, and we will have our air conditioning units here with some bollards. There's a slight offset here in the plan to show relief. We originally had a different finish material on the garage portion of this building, but after our staff report have changed that now so that it's all siding. Let me see. I don't think there's anything else I need to cover there. Just a quick look at the floor plans, front entry porches, single room, living, dining, kitchen, entry into the garage off of the back, and again, that offset. The second floor does not extend back over the garages, so it stops at this point. And this might not be the right time, but I just want to stress that with all of site development's projects, quality is really key. So all of the structure will be masonry construction, except for this wall, which spans across the garage, which we will create a wood wall there, as deep as an 8-inch masonry wall, so that we can get that same nice reveal on the back, on the windows. Quick roof plan, we've got a gable roof facing, 2 gable roofs facing the street with a cricket in between at a lower pitch, a shed roof over the garages, and a corrugated shed roofs over the porches. Also guttering and downspouts shown on that roof plan. This is the front facade of the building. This is, down below, is the facade of the street. So this is our corner block, and then the two other units that will be here, the 4 other units in duplexes. This is very similar to a product that you saw before in May. What we're showing on this are gable end roofs coming out to the street with the balconies, 2-story balconies, front door entries, 2/2 single hung windows. In this particular plan, in this particular unit, we are showing triangular attic vents as well as horizontal siding. We are using composition shingles on the primary roofs with a corrugated roofs on the porches. We've aligned our porch with the adjacent home here. And with this home, the street drops down and I guess to the east, and the homes further south have many more, they have 4 or 5 steps up to their porches. But these two have 3, and that's what we're going with as well. That keeps us from having to have a railing and fits in with the fabric. The rear elevation is similar. It went through some modifications after staff reports to break down the massing. This is a flush plane, but we have centered windows within the gables of the units and have added some trim work here to break that facade down. We've got garage doors that are facing the alley, which have lights in the top panel. The overall maximum height allowed in this area is 35 feet, and we're well below that, even at the peak of the roof. Our bearing is at 22 feet, just under 23, and so the peak of these roofs is close to 30 feet. We're using fiber cement, kind of a hardy board siding, which is a flush pattern. It's not a lap pattern. But it's completely horizontal, and right now we're showing a stucco wall finish on the 2 just to provide a break in those 2 facades. The side elevation, this is the garage in the rear, which originally we were showing as stucco, but staff preferred it in all wood. So we're showing a stucco base for the building. The units will be raised up off the ground, 2.5 feet. So that will have stem walls with stucco, and then the wood framing above. The side view of the porch and the roof, AC units in the rear. Section through the building. The alley is on the left and the street is on the right side of this. This is cut through the indention that's in the building, so you're seeing the side view and porch of one of the units, the masonry wall as exterior, and then the sloped roof over the garage. This is that wall that hangs out over the garage, and that will build out a wood frame. And you can see the stepping from the street up and then back down to the garage and the alley. This is our primary wall section through the front entry. And again, it's all made out of steel, and our goal is to paint this black with a main white finish on the building with a horizontal rail. This would be one of the differences between this unit and the others. Masonry construction allows us to get a 3-inch recess for our windows and doors, which is really nice. We're showing trim around the windows. The windows will have a precast sill, but they'll be trimmed out in wood in a very traditional manner. And then the section of the porch, this shed roof porch, showing exposed rafters and steel construction members with the corrugated roof. And our finishes. As I said, the 2/2 single hung windows, we have a sample of that. These are aluminum windows, but they are, to use an architectural word, chunky. They have some weight to them, and the muttons are all exterior applied. Thank you, Michael. This. We want to show the operation of that. We're using a composition shingle on the majority of the roof, and here is the detail of our a vent at the top of the gable roof, corrugated steel roof on the porch. This is that James Hardy, it's our artisan collection, which is that flat look, a smooth white stucco in the very few places that we have it, which is just between the gable ends and along the base of the building. We have here all of our fixtures with a single panel flush, single panel, no light in the front door. The light over at the entry here, it's by the entry door. The railing that we're showing for this particular unit, mailboxes, which we've used in the past, the street address, and then we have the light, down light over the garage doors, along with the image of the garage doors with the light above. And this is a rendering of the three residences together. I will tell you, though, that this was completed before we met with staff and revised the corner unit to have different details. So this is all showing picketed balcony rails and rectangular louvers, but these are the two units that changed, and this is the home between them and the home on the end. And I think, Michael, I think that completes that part of the presentation for the first address.
Good morning, Commissioners. Ron Velam, staff for Historic Preservation. As I alluded to, and Stephanie supported that, she's going to do, this was a complete presentation. We're going to focus on this one, and then the next two that come forward will be a little watered down, just showing the changes. I believe we're going to move forward. So with this one, the corner unit, that staff find this application consistent with the Ybor City Design Guidelines, and we reviewed these plans on July 3rd, 2024. Under conditions, I just want to briefly go through each bullet item and show how, we work together to find the product that was presented today. The first one is the variations on the gable ends. They brought a project in a couple months ago, and this is very similar to that. So some changes in some of the details are needed. When you look at the historic fabric, you see a lot of twin houses and sister houses throughout the district, but then at times you see the subtle changes, and that's what led us to that condition on the staff report. The parking off the alley was a challenge to come off the ribbons as the plans that you saw, so it wasn't really navigable to come off of that very tight area. What she showed today is appropriate for the vehicles to come in, and they're providing 2 parking spots per unit, which all code requires is 1, and we all know that we have challenges in Ybor City with parking, so that's a plus. The mechanical systems that they have in the rear, and the vehicles, they're going to interact together. There's got to have to be some kind of bollard or something there to protect the mechanicals as illustrated on the site plan. No fencing will be shown or submitted at this time. We had them investigate the depth of the porch and to see if that was something that they could bring into the project today, but they left it at 5 foot. And then also the feasibility of the whole project receiving a corrugated or a 5V crimp roof. Currently, they have shingles over the primary structure, and then they change a roof over the rear. That was probably a budgetary issue, but that once again, they could address that issue. They are introducing different railings, this project, and then the next ones will show something a little different. We were very adamant about them putting a garage door that was pedestrian friendly, that had some glass in the back, because hopefully that the alleys get integrated with a pedestrian and bring some life to the alleys as well. There is usually a transition from the siding to the foundation, a drip cap or some kind of board or delineation. I didn't see it on the plans. That's something that she could elaborate on. And then they brought the siding on the primary residence to the accessory structure as well, so I think the continuity flows now. She provided a material palette that was very complete. I didn't hear the final color selection, but that's something that she could elaborate and delegate it to staff if needs to be. That completes my portion. I'll be here to answer any questions. Yes, sir.
For you, Ron, point of order. Did we open up case 126 at the beginning of this, or did we open up case 130? Because 130 is the corner.
We should make sure that this is the one we're looking at. This is 130.
130?
Yeah, so reiterate for the record that we are looking at BLC-24-0000-130.
2301 on the corner.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anyone here from the public wishing to comment on this case? Mr. Cajon?
Good morning, Commissioners. Jose Cajon, 2321 East 12th Avenue. Very quick comments. I'm totally here in support of this Canvas East Tibor. This block in particular, as Michael mentioned before, very close and dear to my heart. A little bit of a decade ago, I fell in love with this tiny little house that had been boarded up for over 10 years. And with a lot of community involvement in city staff, police, and code enforcement, the YCDC and everything, we were able to bring it back to somewhat the former glory of the block. So, it's, it was day and night to what it used to be. And still remain in the area, very proud of what we have accomplished as a community. And that's why we want to bring somewhat a little bit of density and residents to the area. So again, I'm very in support, very excited that Michael Minsberg and his team are the ones taking over this. Really like what they have done, and that's basically it. I just want to come and speak in support of them.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Seeing none, we'll start with some questions of the applicant, starting with the commissioners on my right. Keep you on your toes.
I have none right now.
I don't believe I have any either. But I reserve the right to come back. You know how I am.
Is the depth of the front porch set in stone at 5 feet?
Let me, I should have covered that. Let's see. The depth of the porch, sorry, I'm gonna need to go back. I'm gonna go back to the site plan. The depth of the porches is 5 feet, which we have found is very consistent with many structures in the area. They seem to range between 5 and 6 feet. The problem with this, we chose to do the 5 feet here because we're very tight on the property. These lots are more like 70 feet deep as opposed to the typical 90, 95. And we need this, we're required to have the 24-foot backup for our parking, for our garages. And we didn't feel that pushing this forward a foot would, would be beneficial to the neighborhood. So we've left it at 5 feet. We're, it's not set, but there's reasons for it.
It's just because the block is so tight, and then we need to get up in elevation as well, so.
We need room for our steps.
For the steps, it's just all tight in there. I would love to make it 6 feet. It'd be a good selling feature, but I just don't think we have the room. It'll feel squished.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and I think it's just, maybe the rendering's best to kind of show us just some of the questions about maybe if there's some variability that we can kind of introduce a little bit to each of the units, whether it's like the gable vents, alternative railings for them to kind of give a little bit more character so that it's not all just, and I understand that, from the workforce housing back in the day and all that kind of stuff it was very much, a efficient type of construction, right, and replicated for efficiency and all that kind of stuff too. But then, over the time, you get a little bit of variability just to make them a little bit more unique and that kind of stuff. And is that something that we could potentially do and kind of take a look at? I see from maybe even the ones on, at least from your street elevation, the ones on the far right have kind of, different gable vents. Maybe we can kind of start populating them and just kind of introducing a little bit of variability through like small things like the railings and the gable vents into the project as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
We did this, we did do it, we think it's a great idea. I'm a little concerned about, the team is a little concerned about change for the sake of change. You know, it could easily get hokey, you know, is what we're concerned about. But we do appreciate the input, and we are looking forward to having a little something different here on the corner. The corner, we did the horizontal rails, as you said, and the different shaped vents. These two are so close together that we chose to present them today with the standard picket rails and a small little rectangular vent. We're open to reasonable suggestions about, you know, if you feel that it's appropriate to change one of these buildings to something else. We just, we're a little wary of doing that.
Understood. And then is that part of the budgetary constraints for kind of having auto roofing being like something like corrugated as well, even on the main structure?
Yes.
Yep, right.
They're, you know, they're spending money on building long-lasting structures, and so we have to be very careful about the choices we make on the exterior. And certainly we can, you know, we would like metal roofs too, but we have seen many that are just composition shingles, and so we felt that adding the touch of the metal over the roof, over the porch roof was.
Yeah, I mean, candidly, we left the shingles because I want to be able to explore it as an option from on a cost standpoint. I'd prefer the metal myself, but you know, as you go through value engineering exercises to get within budget, you know, that one is going to be a tough one and also an easy one to change. You know, so we decided to leave it as shingles for now.
Okay, thank you. And then could you go to one of your, maybe the side elevation? I just want to go talk about, because you have like the stucco foundation, and then we transition to the wooden structure at the garage, so just maybe that step down, you know, and how that stucco foundation kind of transitions into the garage. And is there going to be a transition of any sort, or what are you looking to kind of do there from the main house to the garage at the base there?
When we were doing specific research for this project, it seemed that many of the garages were added after the fact, you know, or they weren't even garages, they were kitchens or whatever they were, and they were done differently. And it seemed to us in all the examples we could find that those were down on the ground a lot of the times and did not have a base per se, you know, whereas the house was raised up on piers typically, and so we just chose to show it this way. It's all masonry construction, so I don't think we would have a problem with repeating that band if that's what you're looking for across the garage.
No, necessarily. I'm just kind of wondering what sort of precedents you've had and as such, and from the actual transition from the siding itself down to the stucco, will it be just sort of like drip cap, or is there any sort of you just kind of pull up the stucco and put the siding over on top of it and overlap it a little bit?
Well, yes, exactly. That's exactly right. And again, that's what we saw as a typical condition out there. We did add banding at the direction or at the suggestion of staff. We did add banding at the end of the gable roofs where this had not been part of the design before.
And then the windows in the rear garage as well.
Oh, well, yes, and added the windows in the garage doors, yeah. Changed, and I described how we had broken this facade down,
Great, thank
the
you.
rear facade.
Those are my questions.
Can we go to the site plan? And just making sure that I understand this correctly.
This one or the one?
Yeah,
that-
oh, that one,
okay.
yeah, that works. So, you have, so from the property line, you have 5 foot into your porch, right? And all your porches are 5 foot deep. Is that another 5 foot from the front of the porch to the sidewalk? Or is that a little bit more?
Yeah, I think it's 5 feet from the porch to the side, the property line. And then we
Yeah, I
have a
can't read the-
5-foot porch. This other red dash line is the typical 10-foot front yard setback.
Okay. Block averaging from everything else on
Yes,
on the
block
street,
averaging
so
is the
that's-
5 feet.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's fine. I just couldn't read it.
Yeah.
Want to make sure, so confirming that. Block averaging, and your finished floor elevation is, I think I heard 30 inches?
yeah, it's 2 foot, yeah, it's 2'6" to the home resident, but then it's 2'4",
Primary.
and it slopes down. We do have 3 steps at the entry,
Okay,
and yeah, the slab is 30 inches above the grade.
okay. And that matches other homes down the road too?
That matches the adjacent home and the one that's right on the end of, and this one. And as I said, there's a big change in elevation. We could look at the photos, but these two are much higher off the ground, and it's just because of the sloping of the
So
street.
everything on that towards 24th, it slopes down?
Yeah,
Okay. But I think you're pulling your cues from that single-family home between the duplexes and that other one
that's right.
there. So that's where you're getting your block averaging in for both the finished floor elevation and your setback.
Well, we're getting the block averaging from the whole street,
Okay.
but the finished floor elevation we're getting from these 2 units.
Okay. All your windows look like they're single hung 2/2s?
That's right.
No deviations from that, right?
Right.
Okay. Let's see, your doors, could we look at your front elevation? What's the material of the main entry door? It looks kind of solid, hatched, there's no glass there?
Well, there is no glass, just for privacy. I think we might have used glass on the other ones, though, I don't recall. One way or the other, yeah. Michael's fine with putting glass in it if it's preferred.
Yeah, I guess, there's 2 different doors there. Once you get up to the second
Yep.
floor, then you have the mullions that replicate the windows, which I don't know if the proportion might be off there a little bit, so I just wanted you to clarify. If you look at your, consolidated elevation down the bottom, it looks like you're kind of picking up the front door from the single-family home there on both of them, but I'm
Yeah.
not sure if that's just a hatch or is that kind of a specific door type?
Let me see what, I'm not sure exactly what we have. You have photographs of those adjacent houses? Okay. We'll come back to that.
And maybe just the doors on the first floor and second floor should probably be alike, I'd say, maybe?
Sure.
We're
You know,
totally open to working with staff on
Yeah.
finalizing that. I think you're right, yeah, it does, now that I look at it.
Because everything else reads really nice, like with the, the positive and negative, and then you've got that dark door, and I'm just not sure if it's a hatching thing, or, I think typically you can do whatever, a single panel or full light.
Yeah.
Either one is fine there. Downspouts are on the sides of the building, and one in the back, it looks like, from this elevation. Are those being captured? You probably have some stormwater issues that are gonna go under your driveway.
Yes. We haven't figured out
Yeah,
the
we have, we haven't gone through the,
grading.
site
But you'll-
engineering on this.
But
Right.
you'll have downspouts.
We'll have to meet city requirements, of course,
Okay.
you know.
And what's your driveway type? Is that concrete ribbons, pavers?
Concrete.
Concrete. Asphalt alley.
Solid concrete driveway, flared. I got all excited when I saw this. I thought your AC units were between the garages, kind of hidden, tucked in there, but they're between the driveways, not the garages.
Yeah,
They gotta go somewhere.
they gotta go somewhere.
Okay. What's your square footage per unit?
The 15,
15 something?
yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we have it on here.
They're under 1,600 square feet in total, they're 15 and some change.
Yeah, it's a nice efficient
Yeah,
layout.
Three bedrooms.
it's a good opportunity to provide, 3 bedrooms, which
Yeah.
not a lot of anymore.
It's kind of like I'm just in my mind, I'm like, well, it's a nice typology, but I'm kind of thinking of it as like, okay, what happens if you extend that second floor all the way over the garage and gain that additional square footage? It puts you up like 2,000, which would be really nice too. And
We're doing that in some of the products that we'll be showing you.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's part of the as we go further along in the different applications, we've got some larger units, and part of it is trying to have some diversity
Sure.
from a marketing standpoint, you know.
In this location,
Yeah.
facing the interstate, we felt it was better for the smaller units.
Okay, yeah, okay. And let's talk about our garage doors. So what do you, it kind of shows, I'm not sure if it's just the upper level, or you, how do you have it called out?
Let me go to the elevator.
So they're solid, oh, I see it, yeah.
There's window.
Yeah, there's
So it's just like
windows.
the top row is glass?
That's right.
Full glass, not like an inset panel or anything? It's just like the whole panel is gonna be glass, or?
I don't think we've worked through that detail. That was a recommendation from staff because they said, hey, you know, really want to make the alleys pedestrian friendly as we start to improve them. And so he recommended putting, the staff recommended putting glass in there, which was just a late chain modification. So we haven't selected a specific door, but I've committed to putting glass in that top
Okay.
row.
Yeah, I think that's something we can work with staff on getting
Yep.
something acceptable there. You know, the decorative ones don't go too crazy in the.
Yeah, that looks very kind of modern the way it is
Yeah.
there. It doesn't match.
Okay. And are the renderings kind of accurate in the colors? It's like a light on light type of,
Yes.
okay, that's nice. Nice and clean. Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, I just want to review a couple of things that were said. When it comes to the gable ends, is there going to be variety, or are you going with the triangle that you showed in your sample sheet?
So we're on the, with the 130, on the BLC 130, we're showing the triangular vents and a horizontal railing.
Okay.
But on the other two that we'll show you, we're showing a vertical picket rail and a rectangular.
Okay. If you can just scroll down to see that full page above the rendering.
Above the rendering, yeah.
Yeah, I want to see the full page. Yep, there you go. At the garage, the roofing will continue to be the shingle roofing. Is that correct?
Yes.
The garage shed. Did you look at ways to break down the rear facade at the garage level so that the shed isn't so massive when you look? So if you look at your rear elevation, sorry.
That's right. It's the small version is here.
When you reviewed the layout, and I understand what you're doing internally, there's a stair,
Yeah.
right, to get you up to the main level. Did you look at ways to minimize that facade, because it is a longer elevation? You've got these really nice diminutive sort of shapes at the front, but then they fail at the rear. And if indeed the alley becomes more of a pedestrian pathway, as we've seen in other neighborhoods that have been brought, you know, back to a more historic context, it really is a big facade, right, when you think at the pedestrian scale. So did you look at ways that you could minimize that, maybe creating more of an inset between the two garage doors?
We did. It's just that these sites are so tight because of that reduced depth that we couldn't, to get in the 3 bedrooms, we couldn't put an indention here in these bedrooms. And we couldn't, it would be nice if we could offset the garages, but we're just right up against all the limits that we have, all the restrictions, we're within the setback for the rear, but we wouldn't have the clearance, for backup if we had an offset.
On the pedestrian experience walking around, I mean, we do plan to, use a lot of landscaping to shield the HVAC units, the condensers. So I think as you're walking, you'll hopefully see a big bushy type of landscaping
Or even a palm
there.
tree there might help
Yeah,
with the,
something
in
to-
between. We
so-
have limited space, but
I think we're gonna, we'll
Understood.
really try to use landscaping to break it up.
Can we look at the west facade? Do you have that? 23rd Street side?
sorry, the elevation?
Yes.
So I think we looked at that,
and I understand this is typical for all of them, but we're speaking specifically to 130. Well, actually, this goes to all of them, but you talked a little bit about, and I think one of my fellow commissioners talked about how the siding's going to end at the grade for the garage. What is your plan there? Because hardy board does fail when it has too much water contact over time. So what is an idea that you have to resolve that issue? Do you have one?
I'm totally okay with continuing the stucco banding. I mean, I agree, I mean, I'm always looking at quality, you know, and longevity, for continued reputation and whatnot, so I'd be totally fine continuing the stucco banding as long as staff and.
I
commission
would,
doesn't
I
have
would,
it.
I would caution you about completely taking it across.
Yeah, maybe
Look
it's-
at your precedents. Look at your surrounding precedents.
Yeah.
They're gonna give you an answer, and I know you know that, Stephanie. Just remember, it's a garage, so there is a support structure, even though it's attached. There are plenty of precedents around this property
Yeah.
that will give you hints as to where you should go. But definitely think about how that siding comes to grade. The other thing you had mentioned in your presentation that you wanted to do something other than stucco. What was it that your original idea was, other than stucco?
No, originally,
was
we
stucco.
showed the garage in its entirety being stucco.
Oh, okay.
To separate itself from the house and provided that indention. But staff recommended that we look at doing siding on the garage.
Gotcha, okay. I just wanted to make sure I was clear about what your statement was.
Yeah.
One other question, the posts at the front porches. Currently, they're shown as metal, correct?
That's correct.
Did you look at options to wrap it with wood rather than the metal?
We did, we sure did. Again, we're trying to pick up on all the historic influence that there is, yet build something that's more sustainable in the long run. And, you know, that, to get the proportions for this kind of home, especially very thin, it's almost impossible to make wood work. And to make it last is really, really difficult. You know, Michael's spending money on the masonry structure so that it's a real high quality, and he wants the same for the porches, for them to be, for them to last, for them to have longevity.
Yeah, I mean, I just have heartburn about, you know, because previous stuff especially once you get into 2 stories and really, here at the 3rd story with the shed on top, you know, just get warranty issues and warping and.
Understood. One more question about the balconies. What's the underside material of the balcony and the soffit at the shed roof?
It is a poured pan construction with a corrugated metal exposed on the underside.
So it'll just be painted metal at both locations?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that's it for my questions. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. We're gonna go, actually, you have a few minutes if you want to summarize any comments of our discussions that we had, of any proposed changes or about anything, and then we're gonna close the public hearing. So,
I think we're fine.
okay, great. We're gonna go ahead and close the public hearing, and then we can have discussion on the case amongst ourselves.
Oh, no, I think they can work out, as the previous applicant, work out any final details with staff. I think the project overall looks good. Yeah, just to comment on the base with the foundation with the stucco and stuff like that, you know, as mentioned as well, like, they probably need about at least like 4 to 6 inches of clearance from the ground with the siding. So, and then just, they're gonna keep that and just kind of look at some precedents on how to keep that up, whether it's just a smaller stucco band around the garage or something like that, which I assume was likely gonna be the case. But then you just have work on that transition with staff to kind of input that into the project. Yeah.
The second story of the rear elevation, I'm sorry, the second story of the rear elevation seems a little flat and has no relief. Actually, right here, I don't really understand what's going on right there.
Well, public hearing is closed, so we're having a discussion, so. Yeah, I think it kind of, it might be the rendering, because really that's gonna be the shingle roof, so that's gonna be a darker when it goes back, but I think our fellow commissioner over there expressed some concern about, you know, that's a long expanse of a rear facade with shingles on enhancing or right along the pedestrian experience. I think if that's darker, it breaks it up a little bit more.
Your brother, right?
Well, the second story has a little bit of an inset between the two. That'll help, but yeah, that long shed elevation is just problematic, even with, glass in the doors.
Yeah, and I think you're talking about up here, that's inset, that breaks it up, but the when you're down on the street level, it's all one
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
thing. And the garage doors will be inset a little bit, so that may help, but it's a long expanse. Especially when you look at the front facade, which has the two twins that are, and they set that middle part back a little bit.
And they're hoping to address that with landscaping. But, yeah.
I just wanted to touch a little bit on the mention of a secondary entry on the west facade. Again, I would state that there's precedent for not doing that, especially on a diminutive structure such as this. When we look at workforce housing, those were usually, higher economic status that had true corner relationships. So when you do go through Ybor, whether it's Ybor proper or via an Ybor, and you start to look at the workforce housing, you see that there are certain things that would never have been in place because of that. So I personally, and professionally don't believe that that's something that needs to happen on this project, even as a way to make it a bit different from the others. Just by its very status of being on the corner, it's going to have more elevation prominence with those windows that are already being shown. So.
Yeah, I think the beauty of all the projects together, like when we look at all 6 units, is that they all speak the same language. Even like on this one, I think previous cases that we had with them, they wanted to enhance the corner. We had to do some different things there to embrace that because of the typology. These are workforce housing, so they're a little bit more subdued. I'm okay with even all 6 of the units being the same because there's a breakdown between the units. Changing the railings and the gable vents are pretty minor things, but I think they're all, all speak the same language and pretty well done. The rear elevation gives a little bit of heartburn there just because of that long expanse of the garage. And stopping I get what they're trying to do with the hardy board here, bringing it all the way down to the ground, and that's just how it's drawn. I mean, you wouldn't construct it that way. You'd have 6 to 8 inches off of there. And I think it's something that, if we have a strong feeling one way or another, whether that needs to be a stucco base or bring that down, I see their, thoughts for an add-on, like a garage and ancillary use is usually a little bit different from the main building like we saw in the previous project. And, but I'm okay with a stucco band down there that lets the hardy board come down to a set level, but it has to wrap all sides on the back side of the garage as well. We can have further discussion on that either way. I think that's a safer way to go, but this certainly speaks its own language because it is a kind of an ancillary structure to the main facade. The shingles, it'd be nice to have 5-8 crimp, but the shingles I think are fine. And when, I think workforce housing back in the day probably, if they had shingles, they all would have been shingles back then. But it was better to do 5-8 crimp, and that's kind of what we got now. A little bit more expensive, but I think the design is well. I think they're nice little units that are going to be a nice addition for that area out there and bring more residents to the area. And I think it's a nice little project. I think you were talking a little bit about the canopy, and it's all one element, and it makes it a little bit more modern, being all metal instead of having the
Oh,
wood
agreed.
piers.
I wanted to know if they had considered other materials, but I agree with the reasoning.
I think they kind of look nice.
And honestly, professionally, I don't like things that mimic 100% historic structures. So for me, I think it's more in keeping with the Secretary's standards, and the grayness of that language allows for this sort of homage without complete replication. So.
Any other discussion? Ready for a motion? On 130, the corner.
All right, so, let's see. stucco banding at the base of the garage. Anything else that we would really want? I think final selection of the door, maybe? Just
Door and garage doors, I think
Garage
is a
door
big
as
one.
well.
I'll work with staff on all three of those items in a final color palette. I think we can sum it up.
All right, so move to grant a certificate of appropriateness for final approval with conditions so move to grant a certificate of appropriateness for the drawings and documents presented at this public hearing in BLC 24-00000130 for the property located at 2301 East 12th Avenue with the following conditions: that the applicant work with staff to finalize the front door and the garage door facing the alley, and that the applicant work with staff to finalize the details of the stucco piers at the base of the house and the transition to the garage and how it wraps around to the rear elevation as well. Because based upon the finding of fact, the proposed project is consistent with the Ybor City Design Guidelines of the City of Tampa for the following reasons: that it meets the design criteria for new construction based on the height and width, facade width, setback, spacing, alignment, similarity of details and forms, and building materials.
I second the motion.
Okay, yeah.
You got it.
Ms. Gaines, there's been a few minor conditions placed on this.
Yes.
Acknowledge that you're okay with these.
Yes,
conditions,
absolutely.
work with
Thank
staff on
you.
these items.
Yep.
All in favor of said motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are approved for 130.
Commissioners Ron Avila, just to move forward, that we're all on the same page, we're gonna review BLC 24-00000126 for the address of 2307 through 2309 East 12th Avenue. It's for a certificate of appropriateness for new construction for a duplex with site improvements. She's gonna do an abbreviated presentation, it's similar, she's gonna show you the changes.
I'm not sure if I need to introduce myself again. I was following the rules. So we're now on 126, which happens to be on the site plan, the center of the duplexes. So that's just keying in on that building, and we've discussed the improvements, the site improvements that we'll be making consistently. This is an enlarged site plan, and again, the same rules apply. 5-foot porches, 5 feet as front setback averaging was used. The 3-foot minimum setback, we've increased to 3'4". Not just at this garage, it's pointing to this. We actually have an 8-inch additional offset on the garages, but at the minimum, it's a 3'4" setback. In the rear, we are well within the setback, but again, have that 24 feet backup space. And again, the only differences that the differences are all that we're showing you right now, and that is what we just discussed with the front elevations being, having a more traditional rectangular louvered vent and more traditional picket metal fit. It's all metal again, and everything else is the same. And the side elevation shows that same detailing. And then the only difference here is the detail of the picket rail and the side elevation, the section showing that picket rail. Materials are the same except for those two items, the vent and the railing. Now I'm ready for the next one. That completes my presentation.
I'm gonna take that all the way through.
So staff comments are the same as prior.
Okay. Anyone here from the public wishing to comment? Seeing none. Do the commissioners have any questions of the applicant?
I have none.
Okay. Good there. Do you just kind of summarize, so I'll offer you the opportunity. I don't like following the agenda.
That summarizes our
We're gonna
presentation.
close the public hearing. Any discussion on the case amongst the commissioners?
They were the same conditions, right? Obviously.
I think so, yeah.
I agree.
All right, so then we can move to grant certificate of appropriateness, final approval of conditions for the, so move to grant certificate of appropriateness for the drawings and documents presented at this public hearing in BLC 24-00000126 for for the property located at 2307 through 2309 East 12th Avenue, with the following conditions: that the applicant work with staff to finalize the front entry door, the garage door on the alley, and then to work on the stucco foundation and the transition around the garage. Because based upon the finding of fact, the proposed project is consistent with the Ybor City Design Guidelines for the City of Tampa for the following reasons. It meets the design criteria for new construction based on height and width, facade width, setback, spacing, alignment, similarity of details and forms, and building materials.
Second the motion?
There've been a number of conditions placed on this application. Can the applicant acknowledge these conditions were
We
set?
acknowledge and fully agree.
Okay. All in favor of said motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Move on to 131.
Good morning, Commissioners. Ron Vila. Just so we're, once again, reviewing the same project. We're going to go to the last case this morning, which is BLC-24-0000-131. This is for the address of 2309 through 23011 East 12th Avenue. The certificate of appropriateness is for new construction for a duplex with site improvements.
Stephanie Gaines again. So this is the last of the three buildings today. This is the farthest duplex to the east on the block. Again, the same site conditions exist. We've got a 5-foot front setback, a 10-foot rear setback, and the 3 feet that we've increased to 3'4" on the sides so that we can have windows. And this elevation is identical to 126 that we just reviewed. That's how we're presenting it today. And these same details with the railing and the vents at the gable end. That completes my presentation.
Good morning, Commissioners. Ron Vila, staff with Historic Preservation. The same comments on the staff report are present.
Great. Anyone here from the public wishing to comment? Seeing none. Any questions of the applicant?
I have none.
All right, and a few minutes if you want to rebut, summarize.
Thank you for your time, and appreciate you all being here.
Thank you, Stephanie. We're going to go ahead and close the public hearing. Any discussion on the case, or are we ready for a motion?
All right.
Motion.
So move to grant a certificate of appropriateness for the drawings and documents presented at this public hearing in BLC 24-0000-131 for the property located at 2309 through 2311 East 12th Avenue, with the following conditions: that the applicant work with staff to finalize the front door, the garage door on the alley, and then to work, finalize with staff the stucco banding at the foundation and how it wraps around the garage as well. Because based upon the finding of fact, the proposed project is consistent with the Ybor City Design Guidelines of the City of Tampa for the following reasons: that it meets the design criteria for new construction based on height and width, facade width, setback, spacing, alignment, similarity of details and forms, and building materials.
I second the motion.
There's been a few conditions placed on this application. Could the applicant acknowledge these conditions?
Yes, we acknowledge and agree.
Okay. And all in favor of said motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you so much.
I'd like to make a motion to receive and file all documents and exhibits submitted today during our hearing.
Second.
All in favor of said motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, or opposed? None? Motion carries, thanks. I'm like halfway out the door.
Exactly. Exactly. Do we take this?
Make a,
Oh, you have it. That's it.
well, just a quick announcement, never mind. I was just gonna say that one of our cases that came before the Barrio is going in front of the city council for, appeal. If you guys wanna kind of follow along, a third-party appeal on August 1st. It's the one on 4th Avenue. 4th Avenue is a 4-story, 5-story building with the parking down the way. Just so if you guys want to tune in the city council, we don't have any responsibility in that, but city staff will be there presenting that in our motion. But I just wanted to inform everyone that it's a third-party appeal. Well, at 1:30 in the afternoon. Okay. See no business before us, we now are adjourned. Thank you.